Excuse me for the burps, I just had dinner. I did not want to leave 2020 without talking about one of a journey that I took this year that I did not know I needed to embark on, and it is exploring my identity as an Asian American. Race has always been a very uncomfortable subject for me, and that's because I always felt like Asians have always been talked about by other groups in ways that benefit whatever their argument is. For white people, they speak to other minority groups and say, hey, Asians as a whole, they, you know, put their head down, they work hard, and that is why they're where they are in society today. Why can't you guys be like that? There's a lot of flaws in grouping all Asians together and in that argument itself. On the other hand, I also feel like other minority groups will say, Asians, you guys are so privileged, and look at where you are in society today. You guys are essentially like white people. It feels like Asians are just the kid that gets bullied on by so many different groups. We are the last to get picked for sports teams, or like we're just like the outsider, the outcast. Like even just take a look at the global response to coronavirus that originated from China, but there has been so many different strains. Like in Europe, it hurts my heart. It hurts to see all the physical and verbal assault and violence on anybody of Asian descent. Growing up in America, I never felt connected to America. Why would I? All of the textbooks from elementary school to high school, I feel like there are only maximum 2 paragraphs that mentioned Chinese in America when they came over and worked on the Transcontinental Railroad. I never learned about Asian figures in America growing up. Let's just put it out there right now. We didn't even learn properly history of America. Where are the Black leaders? Where are the Native American leaders? What about the Latinx leaders? So yeah, growing up, because there were so little discussion about Asians in America, even though we've been in America for a very long time, I just never felt connected to my Americanness. 2020 happened. A lot of things happened, especially the talks about race. And it, like, as much as I was learning about Black leaders and Black movements in America, I was just like, where are the talks about the Asians? I really want to know, because once again, I felt lonely, isolated. I felt overlooked, invisible a little bit. But then I really started to look for communities of Asian Americans sharing, teaching about Asian Americans, and wow, I just did not realize I needed to find those spaces, because now I feel a lot more grounded. I hope that makes sense. I just feel, yeah, I feel a lot more American. I read and watched a lot of different things. I just want to share 3 for today. Okay, just 3. No, I'll pop it up to 4. I'll share 4 things today. So first one, what really kicked off this journey, there's a book called Minor Feelings: An Asian American Reckoning by Cathy Park Hong. It's 7 to 8 short essays, and Cathy takes different moments of her life and analyzes them. I related so much to this book in so many different ways, and it's not because she and I have had the same experiences in life. We're vastly different, but the things that she talked about, I could see moments in my life where I felt that too. It's so nice when you find someone that you can relate to, and that's why, like, a lot of people, they say, you know, we want to see people like us on TV screens, on movie screens. It's because we can feel a sense of connection, and it makes us feel grounded. I can honestly say that. Cathy, she is a poet at heart, so she doesn't really speak in a straightforward way. However, I feel like she does a really good job of illustrating a point, and then at the end helping you understand, you as the reader, understand why she's talking about this. And she, you know, I learned so much from reading her essays. I cannot wait until I get the book back from my friend because I lent it to her. I feel like it's one of those books that I will read over and over again throughout my life to see what other things I pick up that I did not pick up this time around. So that's the first one. The second piece of content I want to share is a documentary. And darn it, I do not remember what it's called right now, but I will put it right over here. So like I was saying before, there was a huge uproar to like read more from Black authors and from Black filmmakers and Black movies, and at the same time I was thinking, well, where are the Asian stories? And so I found a lot of film festivals that centered around Asian American or Asian and Asian American filmmakers. And so it was at one of these film festivals that I watched this documentary that I do not remember right now. So the story about this is it's two sons, their dad, and mom, they all live in San Francisco, and the two sons came across this photo of a cemetery and asked their dad, whose cemetery is this, or like where is it located? And the dad said, oh, it's my father's and it's located in Mississippi. And they're like, what? We didn't know. What? Mississippi? Why Mississippi? What was granddad doing in Mississippi? And this documentary is just them traveling to Mississippi and finding this cemetery. It was also the first time I heard Asians with a Southern accent, like a full-on Southern drawl. I was also very, very surprised to hear about the solidarity of Asians and Blacks within that community in Mississippi. It made my heart feel very warm and fuzzy inside, and that was nice because because I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic there were a lot of discussions like, why should Asians support Black people? They never supported us, and vice versa. It was just crazy, like why wouldn't we support each other, right? Because both groups have suffered a lot at the hands of white supremacy. It's the fight against the white supremacy. Let's not go this way, fight each other. We're fighting white supremacy. Yeah, so that documentary was very eye-opening. I cried, I'm not gonna lie. It hit a nerve in me, and I think it's that piece of hearing more stories of Asians in America, and I felt like I was finding a piece of my community's history. It's not my history because my parents are from Taiwan, their parents are from Taiwan. Even so, people who have come from a long line of Asian Americans are still part of my community. So I think that's what it is. Okay, third content I want to share, and this is actually what made me want to film this video, is this magazine called Slanted. So this is celebrating Asian American identity one story at a time. Oh my gosh, this is an indie magazine. It's so well done, well put together. The stories in here, there are 12 of them. Man, it's this piece that made me feel like, oh wow, community is what I need. Community is what I want. Tiffany Soga, she is the managing editor for this magazine, is I believe 1 year older than me, an alum of my high school, and I was like so excited because I'm always curious for people who pass through my life, what they're up to, what they're doing. Yeah. So each of their magazine, they have a page like this, but the definition or what they write in here is different. This one says, Slanted is a collective of Asian Americans celebrating the journey of self-discovery. By sharing personal stories and creating spaces for our community, we are redefining what it means to be American. After I finished reading this magazine, I immediately went back and bought the first three because this is the fourth one. I went back and bought the first three digitally, but from now on I'm going to buy the physical version just because it feels nice to have it in my hands, and also I stare at the screen way too long already. I don't want to stare at the screen any more longer than I need to. I do want to point out a few stories in here that I really enjoyed. There's this one called Finding Goddess. It is about how kink and fetish helped me rediscover play as an Asian woman. on the BDSM side, it was new and refreshing, and then to hear an Asian woman's perspective was also new and refreshing and also empowering. There's one called Double Exposure, and this is about searching for truth on the Transcontinental Railroad. So the author also started at the same place, mentioning that there are very few words talking about the Chinese in America, and then when they went to go look for pictures of the Transcontinental Railroad, it was photos of all these Irish people and there were no Chinese people. What? This is kind of like erasure, historical erasure. Yeah, there's like a anniversary party for the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, and there Katie met a bunch of activists, Asian activists in the area. This magazine does so well in the different topics that are discussed, as well as the diversity of writers. We have like Chinese American, Taiwanese American, we also have Indian American, Vietnamese American, a lot of different. And there's one Hmong, H-M-O-N-G. I actually I forgot to look up where those people come from. I think it's Mongolia, but I might be totally wrong. There's this one that was very fascinating to read, Constellation Heritage. This one is about a person whose family is from southern Vietnam, and they lost in the war between southern and northern Vietnam. And so it was their perspective of the Confederacy losing and the people who still feel strongly attached to the Confederacy history here in America. Overall, I highly recommend this magazine. The last thing that I want to share is two podcast episodes about a band in America called the Slants. Now the slant is a derogatory term towards Asian Americans, and this group of people wanted to take back the name. It became such a huge case, it went all the way up to the Supreme Court. So I'm going to share two podcasts. One is about that court case, and the second one is an interview with one of the members of the band and what they have done ever since the case happened. So I hope you find this helpful. If you want to look for community, if you want to learn more about the Asian American community, this is not just for Asian Americans. All this stuff, these works are great on its own. And I highly recommend people of non-Asian descent to learn about it too. Widen your worldview. It never hurts. Okay, so that is it for today.